Greetings. It's your buddy, your pal, your friend, your teacher, your guide, ABW. And man, the state of affairs in society of men is very disappointing. The effects that we won't go too deep and there's a lot of different factors at play as to what has created the man of today. For all intents and purposes, a weaker version of man, a watered down version of man. You can say that society has created that intentionally. You can say that feminism created that. We won't get into all that. I'm going to come back with more commentary about that. But I'm going to first play a video. But before I play a video, I'm going to go ahead and just up front give you the solutions. And then we'll talk about the issue. I'm going to give you a few solutions, okay? A few things to think about while it's on my mind. Develop a personality, a real personality. And for you practical, analytical thinkers, which a lot of my audience is, very high level thinkers, to the point, a lot of you are very logical and um, very intellectual, logical thinkers, almost to a fault, because many of you have the tendency to overthink. And when it comes to women, you can't overthink. When it comes to women, um, all of the thinking that you need to do with women needs to come beforehand, because in the field of play with women, you don't know exactly um, how they're going to be, how they're going to respond to you, what type of mind frame they're in, type of emotional state. Um, a little known secret of the best definition of the highest level of men who know how to deal with women, max, pimps, players, just men who are very adept with dealing with women. Um, a practice of theirs that is not so much known or spoken about is mental rehearsal. It's important to rehearse and role play in your mind, image in your mind, imagine in your mind different scenarios, and think about how you will react. Shakespeare said life, and I'm paraphrasing, but Shakespeare said that life is a stage, the world is a stage, and the people who understand life and are able to get through life in a way that is as harmonious and as, for lack of a better term, living their best life. They play the game of life. They see life as a stage, as a game, and they play the game. Those who fail to acknowledge that it's a game fail to play the game, they will lose. They'll have to succumb to the wits and whims of those who understand the game and play the game and manipulate the game to their advantage. I'm saying that because if life is a stage, like a play, a production, opening night has so many steps that lead up to it. You don't just decide you're going to have a play, write the play, or take an adaptation that's already been created and gather up some costumes, gather up some actors, and say, y'all figure out your roles. Here's some lines. Let's do this. It doesn't work that way. You have casting, pre production, you have tons and tons and tons of repetitious rehearsal. Men who understand that life is a game, a stage, a play, they rehearse. We rehearse it in our minds. I always say, I've been rehearsing for all my life to be the guy, the man that I am right now at this moment. Fly, articulate, having motion, progressively attaining, obtaining, and constantly reinventing myself, constantly becoming just a colder version of myself, humbly speaking, because I rehearsed this. This is not something that just happened by accident. I have mentally rehearsed the person that I want to be right now. And I'm not fully realized everything that I'm going to be. And that's the same case for you, but you have to be intentional. So you have to be intentional about developing your personality. I know I went all around to say that, but you have to be intentional about developing your personality. You have to be intentional about developing your style. Most guys don't have personality. Most guys don't have aesthetic sensibilities. You could call that style, but it's attention to detail. Women are very detail oriented. Um, Many men, it's crazy to me. So many men have an aversion to. Many men have an aversion to getting dressing up. I'll just say it. I don't want to. I was trying to think of something cute to say, but let's just call it for what it is. Most men have an aversion to putting on clothes and making an effort to find clothes, build their wardrobe, a wardrobe that is attractive. Most men have an aversion to that, and most men will have such an aversion that they greet that notion, that idea of building a an attractive wardrobe. They meet that with aggression and uh, disdain. They'll attack that idea of putting together a decent wardrobe, putting on some nice loafers and some slacks. That doesn't have to be your everyday attire, but even your everyday attire, you can greet it with a different amount of flair, a different Something that is neat looking, something that is attractive, and then inevitably, whenever you begin to chop down and tear away at the essentials of what really attracts women, different things, the the little things. Uh, if we're gonna go to, and I use the example of clothing, right? Your wardrobe. That's going to eventually, somehow, that's going to tie into your body because fit. And I don't want to get into the weeds of fashion and wardrobe because that's a whole separate topic. But if you were to dive into the details of building your wardrobe, inevitably you're going to have to face your body. Come to grips with how your body is because fit is an essential element of building a great wardrobe. You want your clothes to fit. The more fit you are, the more the better built you are for clothing, the better off you'll be. You have to you can look way better in less effort the better your body is. And that's just a fact. The more fit you are, the less you can do, the less clothes you can wear and get away with it. Um, and just clothes look better on a fit person, on a fit, lean man. It is what it is. Now, for my heavier dudes, still, it still applies. There's ways you can maximize your form, your body type with the right clothing. And you want to find the right clothing that fits, that accentuates what you have. But anyway, not getting into that into the weeds on that, but you have to understand that everything will tie into each other. So something like your wardrobe will eventually lead to what is your body type. And if you're not at the body type that you want to be, then that's something that you need to address. A man of aptitude, charm, and knowledge is always going to be self-analyzing, self-assessing, and making the necessary changes, implementing the right behaviors and disciplines to achieve those goals. And the purpose of that, I'm saying that the purpose of that is to awaken the primal instinct, the primal urges in women. Some women don't need much. Some women don't need much to awaken their primal urge. Their primal urge is already awakened. Uh, we've all seen the examples of uninhibited women and what their behaviors are, and then we've also, some of us are very aware of women who appear very conservative, very, even maybe even prudish, but some of us have been able to witness the beauty blossoming, the beautiful blossoming of a woman who is otherwise reserved and conservative have her primal instinct take over. Every woman has it, unless they're just downright asexual, has some type of true chemical, medical issue going on with their body that affects their sex drive. Otherwise, every woman has that innate primal urge to get fucked. Really and truly. Really and truly. Women, if you don't believe me, um, some of you, if you're married out there listening to this, um, I don't. Again, I don't. There's so many different avenues to take with this, but I'm gonna say, understand the. There's a concept called the Madonna whore complex. A lot of men, and to break that down real quick, there's two sides of it. A lot of men aren't able to really sexualize their women, their wife, to a or there's a limit, there's boundaries as to how much a man can sexualize their wife because that's their Madonna. Madonna being representing the purest form of a woman, and then a whore, that's explains itself. We would have a whore would invoke an image of a sexually liberated woman, right? So many men aren't able have a Madonna whore complex with their woman to where they can't. They have a boundary as to how much they sexualize their wife because that's their Madonna, and they can't turn their Madonna into a whore. So you have that. Some men have that to where they can't just again sexualize their wife to that extent. Maybe they can have sex with their woman, but there's limits. They can't. Um, I don't know. There's maybe they can't put them in maybe in different positions or just perform a certain way. Rough sex, maybe all the different kinks that are out there. Different. Um, yeah, there's limits, right? Some men have that with their wives. A lot of men don't. You know. And then on the flip side, women struggle with the Madonna whore complex because some women aren't able to uh, tap into that primal urge to be a whore for their husband, for the fear of being judged, uh, or just there's just some type of emotional block, or they just really truly aren't attracted to their husband in that way that awakens that primal urge, and that's a whole other subject. But that is, I would venture to say that a good number of good percentage of women just truly aren't attracted to their husband in that manner. There's a good percentage of those. Because women will marry for protection and for safety and for comfort, and not always for that. That they the man who usually in their past who has fulfilled that primal urge the most usually isn't their husband. It usually isn't the man that they marry. It's usually going to be a man that, for all intents and purposes, is not marriage material. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and play this and come back with some more commentary. But this will kind of, this kind of, what I'm saying now will kind of tie into what this man is saying. And I'm going to kind of just uh, tear some things apart with what he's saying and what I believe is a solution for men. Let's go.
It takes a bit of removing human emotion from yourself, but look at some statistics and facts as if you were an alien from outer space looking down at society. First, there's perhaps the most modern metric of women's interest in men, online dating analytics. Joker at Better Bachelor did a breakdown of the numbers, but the short version is that women only swipe right on 1 in every 100 men. And out of that 1%, only 1 in 100 do they ever go on a date or have relationships with. I don't know about you, but if I was an actuarial alien looking down on Earth, I would view a 1 in 10,000 event as pretty convincing proof women don't really like men. Second, if Tinder is too modern an example, perhaps a genetic history of the human race may convince you. Based on a DNA study conducted at the University of Arizona, only 5.9% of males reproduced, while nearly every female did. Admittedly, many men died in earlier times. Many men were enslaved, and powerful men had concubines and harems. But even accounting for that, more modern times, 1,000 years ago, show only 1 in 5 men got to pass on their genes. Again, most women seem to not like most men. Third, online dating and DNA data are marred with their own inherent problems. But simply polling young women about.
So let me stop right there before he really gets going. So that is Well, as you see, that's the title. What if women just don't like men? Of course, women like men. Women like men. But as you've heard and as you'll continue to hear, women like a certain type of man, and it happens to be that that is a small percentage of men. Okay. Now, again, this is coming from a perspective of someone like myself, a normal guy, for a normal, I put that in quotations, a normal guy who, humbly speaking, and this is my purpose. My purpose is to be here to teach. Um, I haven't experienced none of this, and you'll we'll play. I'll continue to play the video, and you'll hear things, but I haven't experienced any of this. Women don't like men. Every women love me. Women love me platonically, romantically. The ones that there's certain women that they just they'll in whatever settings they understand that it'll never be anything romantic, but they love me platonically. Women love me, and my goal, my aim is to teach um, other men how to be that. And my goal is to um, allow men, allow another perspective, because it does seem like there is a just downright gender war. Because as much as it seems like women don't like men, from my perspective, it seems like a lot of you men don't like women. So is it? I guess it's a chicken or the egg type of concept. I don't like women don't like men because men don't seem to like women. Women don't like men because men don't like women because women don't seem to like men. And all of it is just very silly to me. All of it's very silly. And because in reality, I don't experience any of that. I do understand it. I see it, but I personally haven't experienced it. Women love me, and what I see is my observation is the men who don't like women, they're too masculine for their own good. Some of you are too masculine for your own good. And I mean, yeah, hey, be who you are. A lot of you, but be who you are. But if you're on this channel and you're looking for solutions, you're looking for answers, you're looking for different perspective as to your problems with women, then I'm telling you what I know. I'm able to because of my some of the endeavors that I'm a part of. I get to really get to listen to women talk candidly. I get to observe different things as far as female, male interactions. And I'll just say plain and simple. A lot of you guys just don't have any personality. You don't have any type of game, no type of conversation that a woman can relate to. I'm sorry, dog. You can't just talk about. You got to expand your horizons beyond sports. You got to expand your horizons beyond. Uh, most guys, most guys are just caught up on sports, honestly, and video games. That's the vast majority of dudes. Now that I'm sitting here, if, on a regular setting, most men all they can really talk about passionately, extensively, articulately is sports and then video games. You know, maybe you can talk about the gym, but that even then you talk about it uh, from an uninteresting angle, maybe from the bro angle. I don't know. It's just most dudes just don't have substance. So again, I'm giving you solutions. I'm giving you what I see and what I hear from women is um, a lot of y'all are dumb. A lot of y'all are dumb. A lot of y'all don't know how to text. Simple as that. The women do not like. I'm gonna give you some game. Women do not like the 3 letter acronyms. The WYD, the WYA, LMF, LMFO, LMO, LOL, SMD, SMH. Women don't like that shit. Okay, too much of that. Too much of that shit. Very very minimum. If you're gonna do it very very minimum, or make it a joke when you do it, to where you know it's to where she knows you're being stupid, being goofy. But women like this is just a tidbit. Texting complete sentences. Just do that. Just one that just that look, just that one thing will separate you from so many guys. Just texting in proper English, proper sentences will set you so far apart from other men you wouldn't believe. Let's continue to play, and I'll come back with some more.
Life priorities is a much more direct and accurate way of gauging their interest in men. And while there are many studies and polls, this general one from CNBC show men are fourth on the list behind career, education, and financial stability, aka paying off for student loans. Even kids don't come into play until seventh place, and this was for women between 30 and 45. If men are fourth on the list when women are squarely midlife slash half dead, and your youth and beauty is the only thing the counterparty is really interested in, it speaks volumes how little genuine interest women have in men. Fourth, disparate sex drives and prostitution. A common canard you'll hear from posers in the red pill community is that women like sex just as much as men. Translation, I have so much sex because I'm so alpha, brah. That is such a blatant lie. I have to laugh every time I hear it. Because if women like sex just as much as men, we would overpopulate and destroy human.
Newsflash: women do it like sex just as much, but again, the primal urge. The primal urge. Look at yourself, partner. I'm not saying I'm not talking this about this dude, but just in general, as a man, if you have that thought in your mind, women don't like sex. Now there are women. There are women. I've seen it. I've observed it. There are women who just again don't have the sex drive. And or you may catch a certain female in a certain season. It's just not the right season. But by and large, women have that primal urge like anyone, and it takes the right man. It takes the right circumstances to awaken that, to bring that out. She's not going to bring that out. Not every woman is going to bring that out for every man. You got to be a certain type of dude. And you can either lament about it or make yourself that dude or as close to that dude as you can. Okay, you're not gonna bat 1,000. You're not gonna get them all, but you can easily with a few things. I already gave you one little tidbit that you won't find anywhere else. It's just text messaging. If you text messages in complete sentences, that one little thing is gonna separate you just a little bit more from everybody else. And that's all you can do is just do little things to make yourself distinct. Because most guys fall in a very narrow bucket of archetypes, you know, and that is the crowd that is complaining about women or taking what they can get, settling for whoever they can get, going on a constant um, Ferris wheel, hamster wheel of these superficial relationships, these false starts, these failure to launch relationships, And me, I've never been able to. Every woman that has ever come across that I've ever come across, they never really leave me. They're always there, even if they're even if they they ended up not being with me. It's usually because of other opportunities, opportunities that they can't pass up. I've had more than a few of my women move on to career opportunities that they can't pass up. But they still mine. And then and of course they might develop a new relationship, but they still mine. They still, if I hit them up, they'll make every provision to, even if they're living with their boyfriend. I don't mess with wives, so, but if they might have a boyfriend, steady boyfriend, something like that, and if they're living in another town, if I hit them up and say I'm going to be in town such and such, they'll make every provision that they can to make sure that they come see me, even if they have a man. Again, I don't mess with married women. Once they get married, no, you're off limits. But I've never been able to get rid of a woman, so it just baffles me when I see men talking about how they can't keep a woman or get a woman in the first place, and then they talk about they follow this nonsense of women don't like men, um, women don't like sex. No, they don't like sex with you. They don't like you as a man. You're a your version of a man. They don't like you. But everyone, I don't know, women love me, and I'm not. I'm not the best looking dude. I know that. I'm good looking, but if I had solely relied on my looks, if I solely relied on status, if I led with my wallet, I would not be able to successfully sustain the harmonious relationships with women that I have, because I'm gonna continue to let the video play. But one thing that I know is, or a narrative is that with women don't like men and men don't like women, and the issue is, and I'm gonna speak just to men because I can only speak for men, and men, men, we have a rightful place as leaders, and that's I'm gonna stand on that. Whenever I give consultations with couples, I'm putting the onus on the man. I'm always putting the pressure on the man. The man, what are you doing? I pay little attention to what the woman is doing because that has its bearing, but it's incumbent on the man to take his accountability. It's always the man's fault, even when it's not his fault. It's still his fault. A man has to take that accountability. Um, but one thing that you'll notice is that, again, when I spoke about having personality, the best representation of men that I've ever witnessed, pimps, you know, in particular, they knew about woman stuff. They knew about hair. They knew about nails. Not just admired them. They just knew a little something. Know a little something about the different styles. They paid attention to them. Um, they knew a few things about what was going on in women's worlds. Just enough to create some type of connection. Just enough to show that you know that you pay attention to detail. Just enough. You don't have to deep dive into the world of women, but you need to know some things. What women are doing, what they're paying attention to, what they like. You just need to know just enough to create some type of connection, to let them know that you do pay attention to details. And that's it. And that's going to feed into what I previously extolled before about having personality. It all plays hand in hand. Uh, it, it's just game. It's just game. Like, why wouldn't you? If you're in sales and everything is sales, at the end of the day, everything is sales, psychology, persuasion. And in sales, they teach you about mirroring, because people mirroring, that means uh, kind of emulating people's inflections, emulating their body language, because that's a psychological thing to create a sense of comfort, a sense of familiarity, because people buy from people that they like. That's a tenet of sales. And women, of course, will give their body and uh, allow their body to release those chemicals, because this is all subconscious. This is all attraction, and all of this is something that women don't even understand themselves. They can't tell you what they like. It takes a man who has been through the journey and has been able to go through the journey multiple times, and go through the journey to for research, go through the journey to analyze and to gain perspective and experience, to be able to extract the value, the principles, and to share that with men who haven't been as fortunate to go through that experience. That's my job, right? And men who are women, again, don't know what they truly like. They aren't able to articulate it. It's at a subconscious level, but they know when that primal urge has been awakened in them. When those chemicals start to surging in them, it creates a when that primal urge happens, when those feelings happen, those feelings are attached to chemicals, right? And this is getting technical, but I want to illustrate why this is bigger than this. This is deeper. This is bigger than surface level. It's psychology, and it's certain triggers, and what leads up to those triggers are going to be certain things. Again, personality, being able to just create some type of connection. And I say personality because that's the obvious way of creating connection through conversation, through um, being able to, yeah, yeah. It's nothing beyond that. It's just as simple as that. Connection. You want to create a connection. Connect. The only way to awaken the primal senses that I'm speaking of is to have first a connection. I'm gonna continue to let this play. We'll come back.
Kind in about a generation. Additionally, the fact prostitution only goes one way for 99.9% of all transactions is proof women do not like sex or men anywhere near as men like sex and women. And while methodologies are a little fuzzy on how to precisely measure a man's versus women's sex drive, a rough average of 9-to-1 is good enough for ballpark standards. That 9-to-1 can be flipped to a 1-to-9 proximate of women's fractional interest in men. Fifth, let's say you're alpha bra. Let's say you convince a girl to marry you. Presumably, that is an admission on the woman's part that she is interested in at least one man. Furthermore, she also presumably wishes to procreate with you. But whatever the act of marrying a man states about women's original interest in men, that interest is quickly eliminated once they get divorced. And with 50% of marriages ending in divorce, 75% of the time initiated by women, even marrying a man isn't a gauge of interest. You throw in the fact that only 14% of marriages are happy, 86% of women don't even really like the man they married. You're going to have a hard time convincing actuarial aliens from outer space that women have any interest in men when 86% of the time they choose a man till death do them part, they still end up regretting it. And 6, I'm always one for taking inventory of your own personal experiences. If there's anything this world has taught me, it's that society likes to lie to the individual to take advantage of them. Be that telling every young person to go to college, that you're not popular in school because you don't wear this type of shirt, or an entire generation of economists saying there is no bubble when there is one. Modern day society will go out of its way to keep up a Potemkin village of lies instead of admit the truth. And so I ask every man to ask himself one simple question. Have the majority of women you have had an interest in treated you with kindness or interest in your past, or indifference, aloofness, even malice or spite? I'm going to bet the vast majority of experiences for the vast majority of men have been one proving women's general disinterest in them. You couch all the above in the historical fact that women have for eons depended on men for their survival. I can totally understand and see where women have no interest in men. I can even go so far as to see feminism's view that women were oppressed and oppressed and needed to be freed of men. Though I do not agree, I could just see their point. And I could see where disparate sex drives flood women with an annoying amount of unwanted attention, further repulsing them from men. And now that they're free, either through a career or the welfare state or both, I have to conclude that a significant percent of the behavior you are witnessing is a significant in this. I'm sorry. I have to conclude that a significant percent of the behavior you are witnessing in a significant percent of women is authentic. Sadly, a significant percentage of women just don't like men. A significant percent of women don't really want anything to do with men.
See again, and I see what they're saying. I see what they're saying because I do see that. A lot of women don't like men. Um, but again, we're not talking about the majority. We're not talking about being a part of the crowd. We're talking about being exceptional. Because if you are a man of a certain caliber, you won't understand. You won't have to endure pretty much none of these problems. And I'm talking as a man who has meaningful relationships romantically as well as platonically and more importantly business wise. And that's really what I get at because that speaks to that's a principle that speaks to the mind of the mind of the pimp, right? The pimp is first thinking, well, of course, that's a tenet of being a pimp, purse first, right? Um, and so that inherently is going to have a man, a pimp, think in terms of economics. You're going to think in terms of what advantages does this woman bring to the table? What value does this woman bring to the table? And in order to understand that, in order for a pimp to understand the value, he has to be able to recognize it. And whatever you recognize, you're going to appreciate. You're going to appreciate the value that she has. And that's at its essence what a woman wants. A woman wants to be appreciated. Women think very highly of themselves, in case you didn't know. I'll tell you about female nature, young man. Women love themselves. Most women. You most likely the woman that you like loves herself, thinks very highly of herself. And you'll hear um, lots of this, red pill content or whatever this content is that this he-man woman hater content about knocking women off their pedestal and not making them the prize that has merit to it. But let me give you some game, okay? Because there's one thing about having information, and there's another thing with applying it. A game is how you apply it. Apply the information that you know. You can't lead with knocking a woman off her pedestal, being an asshole. Sometimes that works, and you see that in the pickup artist school of thought, and that's not me. I'm always going to be a gentleman. I'm always going to lead with gentleman-like qualities, and that's totally opposite of what they teach you. They say they teach you to be an asshole because women don't like nice men. Women like gentlemen, but they like gentlemen that can awaken their primal urge, and I'm going to talk more about that. But first and foremost, women like to be complimented. Women like to be complimented in a specific way, not superficially, not of course the obvious, their ass, their titties, stuff like that. Um, and I'm just gonna give you just some ideas. Just it could be her hair. It could be different details of her makeup. Oh, I like that eyeshadow, the way that that, yeah. Her lips, her lip gloss, her nails, the color of the nails, the shoes, her shoes. What different details. Women love details, and women love themselves. So a well timed, a well placed compliment will work, but you have to be strategic about it. Let's continue.
And unless you're an absolute 9 or 10, and I would argue Gaussian, not linear, women really do not have an interest in your average guy or everyday Joe.
And men don't, and it's reciprocal. Men don't show true interest in women. And where I was getting at it before is because when you're able to show true interest in a woman and you're not leading with sex, counterintuitively, that makes them even more open for sexual encounters. And as the pimp, you understand that to control to control that, um, and if you demonstrate that you aren't leading with sex, that's the whole allure of the pimp is withholding the sexual part, showing restraint, showing true interest in them beyond sex, acknowledging their sexiness. They want to acknowledge that. That's okay. We can start there. It's how you play it, and see, it's hard for me to explain because you play it by ear. Different women, different times have different energy, so sometimes it is appropriate. And again, it's just kind of it goes with the experience. You just kind of feel certain ways. You know when to lead with maybe a little sexual undertone and when to leave the sexual undertone out of it altogether. Because again, my first initial thought whenever I'm meeting a woman is what value she brings and what can I get out of this. I mean, women are thinking the same thing. They're thinking about resources. They're thinking about what they can extract out of a man. The allure of the pimp or the man who's elevated his game is he's thinking that same way. At least in terms of maybe a business opportunity, how we can partner. Maybe for, in my case, a lot of times I'm looking for potential employees, potential affiliates, um, brand ambassadors, potential partnerships. Uh, See what who you have access to, what what who I have access to, how we can make connections, and then because I'm thinking purse first, and then just to be honest with you, because let's just keep it real. Um, if I can do business with a fine female, make some money with her, and if it's right, and if it's the if it's the right situation, again, you got to exercise um, discernment, and she fine, and I can fuck on it too. If it's right, again, discernment, then it's all good. It's even better. But showing true interest in a woman first, it goes a long way. And a woman will show interest in a man that shows interest in her. True interest, not superficial interest, not just I want to fuck. But it don't take much to. And it needs to come. It should come from a genuine place. With me, it comes with it from a genuine place. Like I value human beings first and foremost. Uh, it's a guy it's a guy who works for me. He's a little he's a little on the spectrum, right? But he's a great worker, and he's very antisocial, but he was very shy around me. But was able to uh, communicate or demonstrate to him that I don't judge him. I don't look down on him. Yes, he's very awkward. He's a nerd. He's actually can be bit of a social pariah. But I don't allow anyone to bully him. I don't allow anyone to just openly make fun of him and ridicule him. It's easy to do that, but I don't allow that, and I make him very comfortable to the point that he feels like we're friends. And hey, whatever. He's my friend. I call him my friend. He works for me, but he's my friend. He's my young little friend. He's a little special. But I make him feel valued because I truly believe intrinsically he is. I believe that. I truly believe that. And that's the funny thing about it. I think a lot of people, and this is just aside from romanticism, I think a lot of people just don't value life. I value life on a different level, but I don't give a fuck about nobody. You know, you see the dichotomy. You see the dichotomy of a pimp, of a Mac, a man of aptitude, charm, and knowledge. Uh, it's the duality. It's understanding. It's understanding. Just showing understanding, and that comes from I'm demonstrating in real time um, the mindset that the best representation of a ladies' man, a man of aptitude, charm, and knowledge, a Mac, a pimp, displays the depth that you that you have to develop, the character that you have to develop, because that is the man that women like. Um, because there's something that to be said about a man who cares, but not that much. And if you truly understand that, that is one of the key secrets to being an attractive man. You have to care, but not that much. Pay attention to detail, but who gives a fuck, right? It's that duality. It's that depth that a Mac possesses. Let's play a little bit more of this more, and I'm gonna let you guys go.
Men going gold. But as with everything in physics and nature, there has to be balance. And the relationship between the sexes is no different. Because whereas women have an interest in men, only 11% that of men do women. Unfortunately, men have evolved over time to compete and produce to get this dwindling percentage of marginally interested women. And this has resulted in the inconvenient truth that men account for the majority of economic production, an even larger percent of real economic production, carpentry, electricianship, engineering, etc., and nearly all technological innovations. And here we return.
All right, so I'm not gonna play the rest of that. So it's just getting too a little bit too academic for me. Point is, women do like sex as much as men. Women do like men. Women love men. But the point is, it takes a certain type of man to awaken those primal urges and those primal senses in a man, in a woman. And that's really all it boils down to. Because if you've ever seen a group of women, and this speaks to another essential principle, is that pussy attracts pussy, okay? If you can get one of those, if one chose, I can get a few of those, okay? And that's something that I live by. If one chose, you can get a few of those hoes, okay? Women like, and this is no secret, this is no revelation, and women will disagree, but it's the truth because they continue to live it out time and time and time again. Women are attracted to men who other women are attracted to. So your best bet, your best advertising, your best catch hand is the admiration of other women. And again, this doesn't necessarily have to be romantic. It can be platonic, but that is your first foray into becoming a a ladies man, a man who has their way, and it begins to just snowball. And the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. So in my case, it's just a self perpetuating. Women just come. They come. They come. Okay. Okay. It's just the truth. But the fact of the matter is, hold on one second. But yeah, the truth is that women love men who awaken. They need it. They don't even. It don't. There's nothing they can't even think. They can't even articulate. Women need to be primally attracted to a man. That's what you want. That's what you're looking for. Because she will do anything for you. She will capitulate to anything for that man. She will shun all reason because women don't think with much reason anyway. They are emotional, and if you tap into that, she will do anything. She will damn near live in squalor just to be up under you, just to be next to you. Now, don't put that woman in squalor because that's going to be a precarious situation. But um, you don't have to do too much. As a matter of fact, she'll do everything for you. If you really truly awaken that primal urge, she'll pay you your fee if that's what you own, without hesitation. Uh, she will bring you um, the she'll bring you all the lucrative plays as it pertains to business. It's just a total different ball game when you tap into when you awaken a woman's primal urges, her primal senses. It's a whole different ball game. A lot of you men have never experienced that. How a woman treats a man that she's just primally attracted to. A lot of you have never experienced that, and I'm trying to give you some game. It does looking nice and presentable, looking good helps a lot. So get your body right, get your hygiene right, your skin routine. Do all that. But that goes without saying. And you can have all that and still not awaken her primal urges. She'll just and she might even fuck you. She might even give you some, but she's gonna put you in a different. She's gonna put you in a certain category. If you look good and you awaken her primal urges on a different level, man, look, you brother, you just don't know. You just don't know the how good it gets, how good it can be, and then you get that one because I know a lot of guys are always talking about they can't keep a relationship. If you keep again, for me, I haven't been able to get rid of them, but it's that one that begets the others. You grab that one female, that one who is down, really down for you, the one who worships you, the one who will talk about you to other women in such a positive light that other ones will come flocking. And if you got, if you got the ones like I like, she's gonna recruit them for you and bring them to the house and bring them to daddy, and we can all have fun. And again, if one shows, then I can get a few of those. Um, it gets that good. It really does get that good. So we'll talk more about how that happens on another video. Peace and blessings. Take care.